Do you confirm that this is a statement that you have prepared for purposes of giving your testimony before the commission?
That's correct. That's the statement that I've prepared, commissioners.
And if you go to page 9 of the statement, there is a signature there. Can you confirm that that is indeed your signature?
Page 9. That's correct, commissioners. That's my signature.
Thank you, Captain. If we can then start at the beginning of your statement. At paragraph 2, you describe your current role. Can you tell the commissioners about this?
Okay, thank you, commissioners. In the paragraph 2, it's basically my training and my qualifications. I don't know if I must read it all for the record, or how must I go about it?
Captain, in paragraph 2, you deal specifically that you are an analyst and your deployment to the PKTT. Can you start there?
Or paragraph 2 of my statement, not the 2 and 2.
Yes, we will
Okay.
return to your 2 and 2 later.
Thank you, commissioners. As I say on paragraph 2, commissioners, on the 2nd of September 2018, I was deployed in KwaZulu-Natal, Forensic Science Laboratory section in Amanzimtoti, to provide analysis service to the political killings task team. It was under the command of Lieutenant General Dumisani Kumalo. So I was assigned to assist with the forensic ballistics examination, to link politically related killings, and I further later assisted the taxi violence task team, the organized crime in KwaZulu-Natal, and I also assisted any other investigating officer who came to the lab to assist with urgent cases. So I would assist such people to expedite the investigation with regard to ballistics.
And Captain, you explain in paragraph 3 that as part of your work, you were requested to perform a comparative forensic ballistic examination. Can you explain what this request was about?
Thank you, commissioners. The request was all about, there was 3 cases in KZN which are related to political killings. So these 3 cases were still unresolved, and the investigation was kind of stalled because there was no evidence coming forward. So I was requested to do a comparison. Okay, paragraph 3, or I'm on the wrong paragraph. Sorry, commissioners. So I was requested to do a comparative ballistics examination by comparing the ballistics results on Bramley case 149 of 4/2024, which is the matter of Mr. Swart of QTech Engineering. So this case of Bramley, commissioners, I was requested to compare it with the 3 cases which are Santin case 398 of 11/2022, where DJ somebody was murdered together with his bodyguards. The other case was Orlando case 93 of 2/2023, where Mr. Don Tindleni was killed. And the third case was Orlando case 220 of 3/2022, where DJ Vintos was killed. That's the initial request.
Thank you, Captain.
That is one of the requests that I received from the organized crime unit.
Thank you, Captain. And before we deal with the specifics of that examination, you detail your education and work experience at paragraph 4. Can you take the Commission through that, but with reference to Annexure A? Commissioners, in Annexure A, the witness has given a comprehensive description of his qualifications, so he will make mention of paragraph 2 in particular. Captain, can you take the commissioners through your education and experience?
Okay, thank you, commissioners. I commenced my tenure at the Forensic Science Laboratory in Silverton in the year 2008 as an examiner of forensic ballistics. And my academic background qualifications includes, amongst others, the National Diploma in Policing, which I obtained it from Tshwane University of Technology. And I also obtained a diploma in digital and analog electronics from the Nexa College in 2001. So to date, commissioners, I examined ballistic related cases of an excess of 3,770 cases. So I received an in-service training in the ballistics section from 2008, which ended up to 2011. The ballistic training commissioners takes years if there is no any other interruptions in between. So the training consists of 12 levels, commissioners. So I completed all the 12 levels in ballistics related investigations. So that's basically my qualifications and the trainings that I received. I also received external trainings from different training providers with related to ballistics analysis.
Thank you, Captain. Now let's deal with the request that you received. Before dealing with the one that you outlined at the beginning of your testimony, let's deal with the comparative ballistics examination of the 3 KZN cases against 27 case files from the Pretoria lab. Can you tell the Commission about this request?
Okay. Around November 2024, I received a request from the PKTT to conduct a comparative ballistics examination comparing 3 political killings cases which occurred in KZN. These cases, commissioners, were unresolved, and there was no suspects arrested in these cases. So they wanted to resuscitate these cases. So they requested me to compare these 3 cases, which are Escort Case 92 of 8/2019, Newcastle Case 208 of 5/2019, and Escort 100 of 9/2018. I was requested to compare these cases with the number of cases that were given to me by the investigators of the PKTT. These cases were 27 in total from Pretoria. So I've mentioned all these 27 cases in my report. I don't know if I must read all of them, but they appear on my statement.
Captain, you don't need to read all of them. They are before the commissioners. But can you explain then?
Appearing under paragraph 5 of your statement, Captain.
That's correct, commissioners.
I notice
Can I continue?
we notice that the sub numbering is incorrect. It should be 5.1 to 5 point whatever the last sub number is. 5.27. Will you attend to that, Ms. Powe?
Chair, I will attend to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Captain, you described in your statement the process that you then follow once this request was given to you, and you start describing this process from paragraph 7. Can you explain the process to the Commission?
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. So the request was from paragraph 7.
Yes, Captain, and that's just after you receive the request to then collect the case files in Pretoria.
Okay. Okay, following the above request, Commissioners, I arranged with Lieutenant Colonel Leso in Ballistics, Pretoria, to collect the 27 case files. Because you have to request the case files you have to request the case files so that they can make them ready and available to you. So I arranged with Lieutenant Colonel Lesu, and each case contained relevant reports, the covering letters, the exhibits and worksheets, and associate correspondence and notes. So after Colonel Lesu confirmed that the cases were ready, I made a trip to Pretoria, where I'm originally based. And on the 12th December 2024, the 27 case files were handed to me by Lieutenant Colonel Lesu, and I then returned to KZN with these case files to conduct the requested comparison from the PKTT.
And Captain, can you describe how this comparison occurs? How do you undertake this process?
Okay, the process will start with the case files in front of you, and you open each case individually and comparing with another case from the opposite. In this case, I was comparing the 3 KZN case files with all these 27 case files from Pretoria. So firstly, I will open the case files, which are of KZN. 3 of them I will open them, and one by one I will be comparing this specimen from the KZN cases, comparing them one by one with the Pretoria case files, or with the Pretoria exhibits that are on the case files. So I will take specimen one by one into the microscope, under the microscope, comparing the similarities on each specimen on each case file.
And in this process, are you looking for the markings that would have been made?
In this process, Commissioners, I will be looking for individual markings that the firearms imparts on the cartridge cases or the fired cartridge cases and or the bullets. So the process require you to, or the analyst, to look under the microscope for these specific marks to be able to determine if the certain specimen were fired or were not fired from the specific firearm.
And Captain, at paragraph 10, you deal with your findings. Can you explain your findings to the Commissioner?
Okay, in paragraph 10, my findings were that there was no any linkage that was or that I identified between the 3 KZN political killings cases and the 27 cases that I collected from Pretoria, meaning there was no common firearm that was used in these cases, specifically between the 27 cases that I collected from Pretoria and the 3 political killings cases in KZN. So there was no link. So as the results were negative, commissioners, the outcome was recorded on the examination worksheets and the proformas as required by our standard operating procedures. And I did not, in this case, compile the separate case linkage report because the investigators, after informing them of these findings, preliminary so, they did not see it necessary for me to provide the report in this regard. So I didn't compile any report because it wouldn't have any impact on their investigation.
Do you know, Captain, why you were required to do this particular comparison?
Commissioners, I was requested because the cases in KZN were dead, like as in there was no movement on these 3 political killings cases. So I was requested to do the comparison in order to resuscitate the investigation on these 3 political killings in KZN. And again, if I can add on that, the cases that were politically related, the 3 politically related cases that I needed to compare with the 27, there was a common firearm or the type of firearm were similar, like it was an AK-47 that was used on these 3 KZN cases. Also on the 27 cases, all 27 cases that are collected in Pretoria, the AK-47 was used on those cases.
But it turned out these were different AK-47 rifles based on the fact that you could not establish any linkages.
That's correct, Commissioner. They were different AK-47s.
Captain, you then deal with the next comparative ballistics examination request, and this in particular are the 3 cases you outlined at the beginning. Can you take the commissioners through the request made?
Okay, before I could return the 27 case files to FSL in Silverton in Pretoria, I received a request letter on the 30th of December 2024 from the PKTT to conduct a comparative examination to compare Bramley case 149 of 424 with Bramley case 149 of 4/2024 and Santin case 398 of 11/2022, together with 2 Orlando cases, which are Orlando case 220 of 3/2022 and Orlando case 93 of 2/2023. In Bramley case 149, commissioners, there's firearms that were confiscated from the suspects, in possession of the suspects. And in Santin 398 of 11/2022, it was a matter of DJ somebody together with his 2 bodyguards. And Orlando case 220, it was a matter of DJ Vintos. And Orlando case 93 was the matter of Mr. Don Tidlene.
Captain, in terms of your procedures, You then accessed the files on your FSL system. What did you then discover there?
Okay, what I did, because I had to locate especially the Bramley case, I had to locate it because already Santin case and 2 Orlando cases were in my possession. I know that I have them. So I had to locate the Bramley case 149 of 4/2024. I then went into the system on the same date, the 30th of December. I checked on the FSL system. The FSL system, commissioners, is a centralized national system. So I used this system to locate this case file from Bramley. Upon accessing the system, commissioners, I noted that Bramley case 149 of 4 was reflected twice on the system. There was a Bramley case 149 of 4/2024 that was examined in Pretoria, the same entry reflected in KZ and Mkhatshwa ballistics. So I established that the same firearms examined in Silverton ballistics were the same firearms that were examined in KZN, according to the system.
Thank you, Captain. Commissioners, you'll recall this is also the testimony of witness B, that initially they were taken for examination in Pretoria, and in September they were taken for re-examination in Mkhatshwa. This was also the evidence of Brigadier Mkhabela yesterday, who confirmed the 2 entries. Captain, once you realized that there are 2 entries, what did you then do?
Okay, upon realizing that there was 2 entries of Bramley case 149, I requested the case file and spoke to Warrant Officer Keda, who was the ballistics analyst that analyzed the Bramley case in KZN. I went to him to inquire about this case. And paragraph 16, I spoke to Warrant Officer Keda about this case, because for me it was like bizarre why this case was examined in Pretoria and examined again in KZN. Warrant Officer Keda advised me that the IOs, or the investigating officers of Bramley matter, presented a letter signed by Major General Mbuso Khumalo, requesting that the firearms in the team's possession be re-examined in Mkhatshwa FSL ballistics by an independent analyst. So he said that the IOs were citing some irregularities in the initial tests conducted by FSL Pretoria. So the request was discussed apparently with the management of the lab in Pretoria, and following the approval, the examination was conducted in KZN.
Thank you, Captain. At paragraph 17, you deal with then requesting the file from Warrant Officer Keda. Can you take the commissioners through that and then what you then did with the file once you've obtained it?
I then requested the commissioners the case from Warrant Officer Keda on the same day, and he gave it to me. And why didn't I request the Bramley case from Pretoria? Is because I saw that the same exhibits that were examined in KZN were the same ones that were examined in Pretoria. So I opened these 3 cases together with the Bramley case. and started to do my comparison, commissioners. And commissioners, as ballistics, we do not do anything outside the request, as per the request letter, commissioners. Because if we do anything out of the request letter, we may be seen as biased and having some interest in the case. So we do as the request is. So paragraph 18, I deal with, and then I requested and received the Bramley case from Warrant Officer Keda on the 30th of December 2024. And I then opened these three Pretoria matters together with the Bramley case and started to do my examination to compare if there's any possible link between these cases. Commissioners, importantly, analysts work strictly within the scope of the written request, as I said. And we undertake tests beyond that mandate may compromise impartiality and create perception of bias. So if we do something that is not on the request letter, we might be seen as biased or having an interest in the case. So paragraph 19, I don't know if I must continue, commissioners.
Yes, Captain. Before you continue, you're about to go into what you then found. For ease, I'm going to ask that the commissioners also open the 212 affidavit so that you can then explain to them the process that you undertook in the examination.
Okay. If I continue on my Annex A from paragraph 4. Paragraph 4, it says, on the 30th of December 2024, during the performance of my official duties, I found in the case file marked with that lab number 598202/2022, which is something 398, I received 2 intact sealed evidence bags marked inter alia Santin case 398 of 11, 22, B3 and B5, and I opened the bags and found the following. Basically, we hear what happens, commissioners. Each and every evidence, or each and every case file contains evidence bags with exhibits inside. So I would open the sealed bag to retrieve the exhibits inside that sealed bag. And this is what happened here in this Santin case where DJ somebody was killed. So paragraph 4.1 shows the cartridge cases, which were 18 7.62 by 39 caliber cartridge cases, fired cartridge cases, which were marked with those numbers, commissioners. And 4.1.2, it was the seal bag was also containing 29 7.62 by 39 fired cartridge cases, which I marked with those numbers. And further down, 4.1.3, I received 2 9mm parabellum fired cartridge cases, which were marked 056 TC2 and 285 TC2. And 4.1.1, it was 4 9mm test fired bullets marked with those numbers. 4.1.5, there was 9 undetermined caliber fired bullet jackets, which were marked with those numbers. And 4.1.6, it was 6 undetermined fired bullets cores which were marked with those numbers, and 4.1.7, it was 1 undetermined caliber fired bullets, marked C1, and the next seal bag with that serial number contained 4.2.1 7.62 millimeter, 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber fired cartridge cases, and 4.2.229 millimeter parabellum caliber test fired cartridge cases. That's the exhibits. Those exhibits, all of those exhibits were in the case of Santin 398, where DJ somebody and the 2 bodyguards were killed. So paragraph 5, commissioners, it deals with Orlando case 93 of 2, where 93 of 2, it's where Mr. Dontin Glennie was murdered. So paragraph 5.1, it says 21 7.62 by 39 caliber fired cartridge cases, which were also marked individually. 5.2, 1 possibly 7.62 fired bullet jacket. 5.3, 1 undetermined caliber fired bullet jacket. 5.42, 7.62 tungsten cores. 5.5, 1 undetermined fragment, and 5.6, 1 9mm parabellum test fired cartridge case, and 5.7, 2 9mm test fired bullets. And paragraph 6, commissioners, deals with Orlando 220 of 3, 2022, where DJ Vintos was met. In that bag, commissioners, 6.1, it was 1 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber fired cartridge case, a 1 9mm parabellum caliber fired cartridge case, and 6.3, 2 undetermined caliber fired bullet jacket. And paragraph 7 now deals with the test exhibits that were fired by Warrant Officer Kader from the firearms that were confiscated from the suspects on Bramley case 149. So the tests,
Captain,
are reflected on paragraph. Commissioners?
You need not go into all of the different exhibits. Can you explain why it is important for an analyst to go through all of these and list them in the affidavit as you have?
Okay, the analyst, because now he will be opening the bags with different specimens inside. The analyst needs to identify each and every exhibit that is contained in that specific bag, together with its markings, because the markings are individually explaining this type of exhibit. So each and every exhibit has to be noted because the comparison doesn't say compare only the bullets or compare only the cartridge cases. So all the exhibits in each and every bag that analyst is going to open, it has to be analyzed under the microscope, because the request says compare the cases, the case, meaning you will compare all the exhibits that are inside these bags. So it is important to note all of these exhibits one by one in the report.
Good morning, Captain. It's Commissioner Khumalo here. In paragraph 7,
Morning, Commissioner.
in paragraph 7, in particular 7.1.1 and 7.2.1, can you just confirm that those test cartridges are AK-47 cartridges? 7.1.
Okay, commissioners, 7.1.1, it's a test fired cartridge case of an AK-47.
Yes. And 7.2.1?
Rifle. Then 7.1.2, it's a test fired cartridge case of a 9mm parabellum caliber or firearm.
No, Captain, I asked about 7.2.1, not 7.1.2.
Oh, that's correct, Commissioner, yes. They are both cartridge cases of an AK-47 rifle, Commissioners.
Yes, and the reason I'm asking you that is because the evidence we have heard in this commission is that 15 test cartridges were recovered at Bramley in respect of the AK-47 that was found there. So I just wanted to know why you only got hold of 2 of them and not 15. Am I misunderstanding something?
Yes, Commissioner, if I may just explain there. Because the 15 cartridge cases of an AK-47 were firstly analyzed in Silverton, Pretoria. After the analyst have concluded his analysis, the only thing or the only exhibits that he will dispose of to the station will be the rifles or the exhibit firearms. So the 15 cartridge cases, I did not receive them because I did not deal with the Bramley case in Pretoria. I dealt with the Bramley case in KZN. So when the exhibits firearms were delivered to KZN, they were not delivered together with the 15 cartridge cases of an AK-47. So these 15 cartridge cases were filed in the case file that was analyzed by an analyst in in Pretoria, not KZN. So here I was just dealing with the test fired cartridge cases, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. You'll recall also that witness B explained that after they get the report, they only get the weapons. So it's the weapons that were then taken to KZN for further re-examination. And then just for identification of the types of cartridges that are examined, you'll see if it has a TC in it, it's a test cartridge, not the ones that are recovered on the scene. Captain Modisane, can you confirm the correctness of, at the very least, the identification of cartridges?
I do confirm the correctness of these exhibits, commissioners, and what I've outlined.
Captain, you then at paragraph explain that you conduct a microscopic individualization of fired cartridges cases and fired bullets. Can you explain that in layman's terms, what you mean in that statement?
Isn't it paragraph 9? I think it's paragraph 9.
It would be paragraph 8 at the very bottom of your statement.
Okay, here it's just the intention and the scope, what I was required to do, paragraph 8. So I was required to microscopically individualize the fired cartridge cases and the fired bullets, meaning I was gonna compare the fired cartridge cases and the fired bullets. That is according to the request that I've received, to say compare. I was not doing a full examination from the scratch.
Thank you, Captain. And then you deal with the results or your findings. Can you explain these to the Commission?
Okay, the findings on paragraph 9, Commissioners. As ballistics experts, when we're doing comparison, we compare the individual and class characteristics. It's the markings the class and individual characteristics is the markings that were transferred by the firearm components onto the cartridge cases and onto the bullets during the firing process. So there will be those characteristics that we are looking for on each and every specimen under the microscope to determine the common origin of these specimens. So the microscope assists us to view those tiny marks which a naked eye cannot be able to see. And we use this instrument to come to a conclusion whether there's a specific cartridge case or a specific bullet was fired or was not fired from a specific bullet, firearm, commissioners. So in paragraph 9, it's my first findings, which says the cartridge cases mentioned in 4.1.1, 4.2.1. This 4.2.1, 4.1.1 and 4.2.1 are the exhibits that I retrieved or that I found in the Santin case 398 of 11/2022, a matter of DJ somebody, 4.1.1 and 4.2.1. 5.1 is the exhibits that I found in Orlando case 93 of 2023, where Mr. Don Tingleni was murdered. And 6.1 were the exhibits that I retrieved or I found in the case file in the Silverton under Orlando 220 of 3/2022, where Mr. DJ's Vintos was murdered. And 7.1.1 and 7.2.1, those are the test cartridge cases that I found inside the Silverton in the case of Brimley 149 of 4/2024. So all these exhibits that I've mentioned, the ones in 4.1.1, 4.2.1, 5.1, 6.1, 7.1.1, and 7.2.1, I found that these cartridge cases were fired in the same firearm. So they bear common origin. This specific firearm that I'm referring to, it's a 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber Russian Kalashnikov model AK-47, full automatic assault rifle with a serial number 575363. That AK-47, commissioners, is the same AK-47 that was found in the suspects that were arrested in Brimley case 149 of 4/2024. This is the same firearm, commissioners, that murdered DJ somebody and DJ Vintos and Mr. Don Tingleni. I may continue.
Yes, Captain. Can you then deal with your findings at 9.2?
Okay. In paragraph 9.2, commissioners, I further analyzed the 9mm parabellum cartridge cases that were found in the crime scene of DJ Vintos. This is paragraph 6.2. Is the exhibits that were found in the crime scene of DJ Vintos. And I was comparing them with the test cartridge cases in 7.1.2 rather, and 7.2.2. And I found that these cartridge cases were fired from a common firearm. This firearm, commissioners, is a 9mm parabellum caliber Taurus, model PT92FS. It is a semi-automatic pistol with a serial number which was obliterated. And this firearm was marked 193045/24. And which later the serial number of this specific firearm was retrieved, and it reads as follows: TKS 21211. If I repeat it, TKS 21211, which was retrieved during the etching process. And this
Is that the one
serial
that?
number.
Oh, sorry. Is that the one that was received by, I forget his rank now, Kader?
That is the same firearm that was accompanying the AK-47, which were received by Warrant Officer Keda in ballistics Amanzimutoti.
Yeah. I'm referring to the what's the verb you use? Is it retrieval of the serial number? I forget the verb you use now.
Etching.
Is the etching to find the serial number that has been obliterated? That's the verb I'm
correct,
looking for.
Commissioner.
Yes. So is it the one that through hatching was found by or established by Warrant Officer Kader or Kader?
That's correct, Commissioner.
All
This
right.
is the same number that was retrieved by Warrant Officer Keda during the etching process.
Retrieved is the verb I was looking for.
Is this firearm that you're describing now, is it the same one that the analyst in Pretoria had recorded that he could not restore the serial number?
That's correct, Commissioners. It's the same firearm, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Just to note that in paragraph 9.3, you note the bullets or bullet jackets that where you could not make a positive determination.
That's correct, Commissioners, because they were damaged. I couldn't make any link to see if whether they were fired from the specific AK-47.
What does it mean that they are damaged? Is it they are damaged at the point of being fired or at the point of being tested?
At the point when they were fired, Commissioners, because this firearm is a high caliber firearm. When the bullet meets the target, it disintegrates or it fragments into smaller pieces, whereby the marks of those exhibits are compromised.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. You then explain what happens after the examination at paragraph 11. Can you briefly tell the commissioners about this process?
Okay, paragraph 11, Commissioners, it deals with the disposals of these exhibits. Because now the examination or the linkage have been completed, the examination have been completed. Now I have to dispose all the exhibits into their different case files. This process entails putting each and every exhibit inside the new seal bag, and I seal that seal bag, and I will complete an integrity form to show that these exhibits or the previous exhibit bag was opened by me, and I then close it on the new seal bag. So paragraph 11, it's all the exhibits. Okay, there was an exhibit that required me to take it to the IB section of the ballistics. So I sealed that specific exhibit, which was marked 1A32. It was somehow missed to be taken to IBIS. And I then sealed this exhibit. It's an AK-47 cartridge case, which was in Santin case 398. It was missed to be loaded into the system. And I sealed it in the new bag and I marked it for IBIS. And paragraph 11.2 deals with all other exhibits of Santin case, which I sealed them in that sealed bag number that reads PA6500 555 and filed these exhibits in the Santin case file. And paragraph 11.3 deals with the exhibits that I opened from Orlando case 93 of 2023. I sealed all those exhibits in a new seal bag which reads PA6500 555 465. And paragraph 11 deals with the exhibits that I opened on Orlando 220 of 2022. All those exhibits, I sealed them in the seal bag with serial number PA6500 555 469. So each and every seal bag that I closed, I attached to its specific case file. And paragraph 11.4 deals with the tests that were fired by Warrant Officer Keda under Bramley case 149 of 2024. And I sealed them in the seal bag with PA6500 555 484. And I also, like others, I attached this seal bag in a Bramley case file.
Thank you, Captain. Commissioners, this would deal with paragraphs 21 to 24 of the statement.
Captain, can we just clarify paragraph 20 of your statement? The firearms referred to in paragraph 20 of your statement, are they the Kalashnikov in your affidavit in paragraph 9.1 and the 9mm parabellum in paragraph 9.2? Are those the firearms you're referring to in paragraph 20 of your statement?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we can then turn to paragraph 25 of your statement. There, Captain, you deal with the process of restoring the serial number that Warrant Officer Keda undertook. Can you explain this process in simple terms to the commissioners?
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. In simple terms, Commissioners, because I don't want to go into what I've outlined in my statement, because I might expose our doings or our processes to the public out there. In simple terms, Commissioners, one would receive, or an analyst will receive a firearm with the serial number obliterated. So now, to retrieve the serial number, there is a process. We've got two processes that we undertake on that specific firearm to try and get the serial number. We've got magnetic etching process. We call it electromagnetic etching process. And we've got an acid etching process. Those are two processes that we utilize in ballistics to retrieve the serial number. So the serial number during attempt to retrieve it, we've got a process. We need to undertake a process of preparing the surface where the serial number has been obliterated, or the area where the serial number was originally stamped on. We prepare the surface and apply certain chemicals on that surface to let the serial number to be visible. And during that process of applying the chemicals, when the number comes up, we note it. We note it on the piece of paper to say this is a type of a serial, or this is the number that is appearing on that area where the serial number. It could be numeric digits or alphabets, because some firearms contain alphabets, and some firearms serial number contains numbers. So some firearms is a combination of both. So after retrieving the serial number, after application of such chemicals, the serial number comes up. Then the analyst will call a more qualified person who did the etching, or who is competent on etching, to confirm what he is seeing on this process. Then when they agree on this, what they are seeing, then it is confirmed by the person, the next person, to say, we saw the same number. Then that number is recorded onto the pro forma, and then eventually recorded on the 212 report. That's basically what etching is all about. There's a process that we apply on the firearm, or that we conduct on the firearm, to retrieve the number.
Captain, at paragraph 25.4, you deal with Captain Mkhatshwa's findings in relation to this. Can you elaborate more on this point?
Okay, during our conversation with Warrant Officer Keita, he explained to me that there's a firearm which the serial number was obliterated, and that firearm, according to him, it was also an attempt was made to retrieve the serial number by Captain Mkhatshwa in Pretoria. That firearm was a 9mm that I spoke about on my Annexure A. So this firearm, when he etched it, when he applied the etching process, Warrant Officer Keita retrieved the serial number successfully and recovered the serial number, which is TKS 21211.
And Captain, based on your experience, did Warrant Officer Keita do anything that was particularly difficult or elaborate in order to establish this?
Commissioners, there are a couple of factors that can influence the person not to be able to retrieve the serial number. They include the training that the member received, specifically on the etching process. They include a person who is not willing to go extra mile, or who doesn't do more, who couldn't do more to try and retrieve the serial number. The other factors could be the chemicals that we are using. Maybe somehow if the chemicals also are expired, or there can be a difficulty on getting the serial number. The other factor could be, or maybe the person deliberately omitting to do his job. Those are factors. One of those factors could have influenced the person not to retrieve the serial number.
Captain, when you do the restoration, the serial number restoration, what are the protocols that apply, especially if you return a negative result, such as Captain Mkhatshwa did? What do the protocols prescribe must happen?
Okay, commissioners, the protocols that we apply in the lab, or that we have in the lab, is that after applying these etching processes, whether you have found the number, retrieved the number or not, there must be another person who comes and confirm your results. So that is the only process that we undertake. So there's no any other process that we apply if the person didn't find the serial number.
Thank you.
And Captain, given that Warrant Officer Kader would be doing this process on the same firearm that Captain Mkhatshwa would have worked on, does that raise additional difficulties?
That's correct, commissioners. It will, because now this firearm has been attempted the serial number of this firearm has been attempted to be retrieved. The analyst who worked on the firearm basically tampered with the surface, because maybe I will use another word, not tampered. He was attempting to retrieve the serial number. That means he has done some sanding of the surface, meaning he prepared the surface, and then he couldn't retrieve the serial number. Now, it will be difficult for the next person. I would expect the next person to have a tough time or a difficulty to be able to find the serial number, because him or herself needs also to prepare the surface again, to clean it and to prepare it for him to now apply those chemicals. So it is advantageous for the first person or the first person is on an advantageous position than the next person, because the next person will be working on the surface that has been already worked on. So Warrant Officer Kader was, but apart from what all this happening, Warrant Officer was able to retrieve the serial number on that firearm, the specific firearm. But it's, especially if somebody have worked on the firearm with regard to the etching process, and the next person has to work on it again, it might pose serious problems. But Warrant Officer Kader was able to retrieve the serial number.
Captain, what is the importance of the serial number? And if you're unable to retrieve it, what is the consequence on the case, if any at all?
The importance of the serial number, commissioners, it shows the identity of the firearm. The same applies to the engine number of a vehicle. It shows the identity of the firearm. It shows the history of the firearm. Who is the original owner of the firearm? It will show that. It will also show that if the firearm was robbed from the owner would have opened the case. If the owner was murdered, the case could have been opened. So that serial number, if we retrieve it and we give it to the investigating officers to check on the system, it will show the history, who does the firearm originally belong to, and how was it taken from the lawful owner, whether the lawful owner was killed, whether the lawful owner was robbed, or there was a housebreaking and the firearm was taken. So the serial number is very much important. It shows the identity of the firearm. If we don't have the serial number on the firearm, that firearm doesn't have identity.
Thank you.
And Captain, on this score, if the firearm was ever seized at any point by the police and somehow ended up in the street, this process would also be able to discover that?
That's correct, Commissioners. If it was recovered by the police with the serial number, when the police recover it firstly with the serial number, and it happens that it goes out to the street, and the serial number is then obliterated. When we retrieve this serial number, it will show that this weapon was first or was once in the police hands, or it was retrieved by the police. Even if it doesn't have the serial number, the police will find it in the streets in possession of the suspect. That firearm would have been sent to ballistics, and then a ballistics expert will engrave it with the lab number. We engrave the serial number or the lab number on the firearms where the serial number was obliterated. So that engraving will act as a serial number on that firearm. So if it goes from the station to the street and it gets found on the suspect, then we can identify it with an engraving on it.
Thank you, Captain. The comparative ballistic examination that you performed, and you deal with it in paragraphs 21 to 20 of your statement. Do you know if it was also performed in Silverton? So that is before you came in and you were asked to do it. Do you know if national headquarters performed the same exercise before you were brought in to do it?
Commissioners, which comparative examination is it?
The one in paragraph 11 of your statement, the one where you compare the Bramley case with 3 other cases, and you reach your conclusion in paragraph 20 of your statement. And you say, during the examination you performed, you determined a link between the firearm used in Bramley and the firearm used in the murders of DJ Somebody, Don Tindleni, and Hector Buthelezi. So do you know if that examination was performed in Silverton before you were brought in to perform it?
No, Commissioners, it was not done in Silverton. I'm the first person to do this comparative examination on the firearms against the murder of DJ Somebody, the murder of DJ Vintos, and Mr. Duncan Tindleni. So the examination that I did was not done in Pretoria because there was no request that was forwarded. This was the first request that was forwarded, and I came to attend to this request.
Does that not bother you, Captain? Because these are all Gauteng cases. The fact that you have to be brought in from KZN or from the PKTT to come and perform examinations in relation to murders that took place in Gauteng, What are the people in Gauteng doing then?
In this regard, commissioners, there was a direct request that was forwarded to me. I would assume that if the same request maybe was forwarded to Gauteng, they would have done it, commissioners. Because it was not a ballistic IBIS link, it was a request. Maybe it was if it was captured, or if it was noticed during in the IBIS as a link, they would have done it. So it was a direct request from the investigating officers based on their investigation. I think they had a suspicion that these cases are possibly linking. That's why maybe they forwarded the request to me to do the comparison examination, commissioners.
Yeah. But it bothers me that the same request was not given to Silverton. I mean, if you are aware that an AK-47 has been recovered in Bramley, and you are aware that you're dealing with other murders that involve an AK-47, why would you not perform the exercise?
Yes, commissioners, because there were already suspicions that of the examination by the investigating officers. There were suspicions of how can I put it? Of not of the Pretoria, of the integrity of the Pretoria lab. Maybe that's why they sent it to us, not to them, to do the comparison. Because they also took the firearms to KZN after being analyzed in Pretoria. So they had those suspicions according to the request letter that the warrant officer Keda received. I think it's based on that. That's why they wanted a person who is not in Gauteng to do this comparative examination.
Captain, I find it strange that you say no request was made to establish if there were any linkages. I say it is strange because the investigating officers have told us that they were told, I'm not sure now whether verbally, by Captain Mkhatshwa, that there were linkages, but that when they received the report, it did not have or reflect any linkages. So what I find strange is that Captain Mkhatshwa would have spoken to them about linkages when no request for linkages had been made. Do you want to comment on that?
If I may comment on that, commissioners, if indeed they received that information from Captain Mkhatshwa, to me it suggests that somehow Captain Mkhatshwa maybe might have had something from someone that these firearms are linked to other cases. And indeed, if that's the case, I really don't know. It's very hard for me to digest it, but that means all along, maybe I would say Captain Mkhatshwa knew that these firearms from Bramley are possibly linked to other cases. Which other cases I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know which other cases. But if indeed he told the investigating officers so, I would expect him to have been able to link those firearms or those exhibits and supply the correct report. But anyway, like I said, commissioners, one wouldn't go and do something out of his own will as a ballistics expert. We have to be directed because we might be seen as biased. So, but the information that he gave to the investigating officers was crucial, was very crucial, and that means there was some communication between him and them. I would expect them to continue and ask questions with regard to what Captain Mkhatshwa is saying.
I must say I like your repeated use of if, because indeed we are yet to hear from Captain Mkhatshwa if he will be called. Thank you, Captain.
Just one more thing, Captain. How long did it take you to perform this exercise? Because it looks from paragraph 11 like you received the request on the 30th of December 2024. And then in paragraph 24 of your statement, you say your report of 30 December 2024 is attached as Annexure A. Does that mean the whole exercise took only a day to perform and to complete?
Only a day. It took only a day, Commissioners.
Yeah. You know why this?
In PKTT we had a motivating factor. I don't know where we were taking it. We worked on the case until we finish it. If there is a positive feedback that we are seeing on the examination, we will work until it's late. So, and looking at the number of exhibits that are received on the 4 cases, it's not lots of exhibits. We are dealing with lots of exhibits on other cases, which can take you more than 1 day. But these ones didn't warrant me to take more than 2 days or more. So I finished this examination in 1 day, Commissioners.
And is that unique to the PKTT? You've just said something important, that in the PKTT, you don't stop until you are finished. Is that unique to the PKTT, or is it something that is ingrained within the SAPS, especially the ballistics division as a whole?
This was unique to the PKTT Commissioners. It was unique. Our turnaround time, our normal turnaround time in ballistics analysis, our normal working turnaround time, is 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, to finish the case. Our turnaround time, we made our own turnaround time in the PKTT as ballistics to 3 days, Commissioners, maximum 3 days. So this case, it's based on my experience also, Commissioners.
Just
it's a small case. It's a small case to me.
Just
to finish in a day.
All right. Sorry, Captain. Just to make sure there's no confusion, you said our normal turnaround time is 30 days. And who's our in relation to the 30 days?
Ballistics turnaround time, Commissioner. As soon as the case arrives at the lab.
I just want to know, Captain, I just want to know who you are referring to when you say our. Are you referring to Silverton, Manzimtoti, Rebecha, and the Western Cape? I don't know whether it's Cape Town. Is that the our that you're referring to? Who's our?
It's the whole lab in general, whether KZN, whether Eastern Cape, Western Cape, in Pretoria. Ballistics turnaround time case, as soon as it arrives at the lab,
all right,
it needed to be finalized in 30 days.
Okay.
But due to backlog, that doesn't happen.
Okay. And then you are comparing that to an average of 3 days within the PKTT. So it's 30 against 3. 30 against 3.
That's correct, commissioners.
Thank
That
you.
is the turnaround time that we set for ourselves in the PKTT.
Thank you. In fact, I should not even say average. Maybe I should say 3 days would be the outer limit. And you say there are some that you could complete within a much, much shorter time, like this one, which was within a day.
That's correct, commissioners.
Captain, just to go back to the protocols and the restoration process that you have described. Now, in Captain Mkhatshwa's section 212 affidavit, he does state that he was unable to restore the serial number. Now, you've told us, and we've also heard from the Brigadier yesterday, that a second person would have another look, whether it's a positive or negative response, and you've just confirmed that. Would the conclusion of the second person who looks at the initial outcome, would that be contained in the section 212 affidavit of the original analyst?
No, commissioners, it wouldn't reflect on the section 212 report, but it will reflect on the worksheet that the member has completed. Yes. after examination. So the confirmer will sign on the worksheet that will be attached on the case file to say, I Captain Modisane, confirm that a warrant officer so-so or Captain so-so retrieved or did not retrieve the serial number. Then I sign on that specific pro forma. So the confirmer will sign on the pro forma.
Yes, and if there's no confirmer or verifier, am I correct to say then it means that protocol, the prescribed protocol was not followed if there was no verifier?
That's correct, commissioners.
Thank you.
It's a protocol that needs to be abided by, to be applied or to be followed when doing this examination. Anyway, the reviewer of the case, after the examination or the analysis has been completed, the reviewer of the case will pick it up that this case was not confirmed or there's no signature of a confirmer of the etching process of this, and the case file will be returned to be corrected.
All right. That is, if the reviewer does their job properly, then they would also have picked up and they would return the docket or the case file.
That's correct.
Thank you. Correct. Thank you.
Commissioners, just to note on the etching process, we have followed up with the witnesses A, B, and C to provide us with a supplementary dealing with their findings when they took the serial number discovered by Warrant Officer Kada. They noted that the weapons were previously recovered by police, but were not entered into SAP 13, which is the administrative process. So we have asked for an affidavit in that regard. Captain, just for completeness, your 212 affidavit, was that then reviewed accordingly before you shared it with the investigating officers that made the request?
That's correct, commissioners. Each and every report has to be reviewed before it gets out of the lab. So the reviewer would have done the review to check the correctness of the report. The reviewer, commissioners, if I may also state, does not change anything on the report or the results that the analyst has done or has noted on the report. All what the reviewer checks is the mistakes, the errors, the spelling. If all the protocols were observed, if all the proformas were filled according to the protocols. So before that the report can go out, the review processes has to be undertaken to check the correctness of the report, whether the spellings are okay, whether the grammar is okay, whether the report was signed. Then it will be dispatched to the investigators.
And Captain, after you gave it to the investigators, it is also loaded onto one of your systems.
That's correct, Commissioners. We've got an ICDMS system that we, after completion of the report, it gets to be loaded onto the ICDMS system. This ICDMS system assists the investigators to retrieve the report from the system while they are at their respective working areas in the station. The investigator will go into the system and punch in the serial, the case number, and the system will allow him to print this report. It's only the investigating officer who can access a specific report for a specific case, because he will be assigned to that specific case. So any other person who's not an investigator of the case will have a challenge in retrieving the report from the ICDMS system.
Thank you, Captain. So this report was loaded onto the ICDMS system on the 30th.
Even if it could be after the 30th. It could be after the 30th.
Thank you, Captain. Captain, unless there are questions from the commissioners, that concludes the testimony of Captain Modisane.
Thank you very much, Captain. Let us adjourn and resume at 11:15.
Thank you, Commissioners.